Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Techknowledgy Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
Welcome to the Techknowledgy Show, where we translate geek
into regular speak.
Hey, it's Brett Levy and Aryeh Sternberg. What's up?
Back again. I don't want to jinx it, but it feels like summer's maybe here, finally. Possible.
Dude, you're not jinxing it. I burnt yesterday.
Yeah, it was hot.
I actually burnt. I came back and I had a red neck. It was like from being outside. It's insane. If it's going to be like this now, what do we do in Jan or Feb?
It's meant to be a hotter summer, actually. Yep.
But after that rain, the weather's weird.
That's...
How many was 2 months of rainfall in 1 hour?
Yeah.
Or something like that, huh?
Apparently there's no global warming, though, so, you know.
Yeah. Anywho. Well, let's jump into App of the Week.
Straight into it. What we got this week?
So I'm going to have to show you, and I wasn't being horrible. I did speak to you before the show, and you said, no, it's all good.
Yep.
And what I'm getting to is that the app is not available on Android, but it's called Morning Routine. I'm going to just open up and pass it over to you. I have a note. I use an app called Simple Note, and I literally write notes on it, and it syncs between all my devices. And one of my notes on Simple Note is morning routine. That's what it actually says. It's like, wake up, do this, read the news, check emails, etc., etc. So I've almost put like a to-do list of how I should start my day. I know that sounds naff, but I'm looking at your eyes. I know what you're looking at. I hope nothing's come through on my phone that shouldn't have. So I was just looking to see, I was clearing up my task manager and so on and so on. I came across Morning Routine. Now, what Morning Routine does, besides being, it's really got a nice UI. It's clean. It's got these little blocks. But it's taken routines of famous people. I think if you look down at the bottom, there's a star.
Yep, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah. So you've got people like the lady from Huffington Post. I can't remember her first name. You've got Michelle Obama.
We got Jessica Alba, Tim Ferriss, Oprah, Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins is the finance guru, isn't he? Doesn't he do like all the investment stuff? What does he do?
No, he's a wellness guru.
Wellness.
Yeah.
I knew it's one of the gurus. He runs around with that positive energy. So what it does, it shows you their routine, what they do in the morning. And then you can choose to copy it, or you can add or just take pieces from it and build up your own routine. So you can take the meditation from him, let's say, and you can take the email reading from Obama. She's actually got 7 Minute Fitness, the app. That's her start to the day. So She starts with the 7 Minute Fitness app. And then inside her app, it's the way she set it up with the 30-second sit-up and the 30-second run. So basically, it's a drag and drop. And when you do the task, you just swipe left and little like confetti falls down. You can do it. You can see what I'm talking about. You can just say you've done a task. Confetti falls down and it shows that you've actually closed off the task. But it's just one of those little things that if you're going to try and put some form of regimentation into your life, it gives you that guidance to set it up. Because what I was reading is that most people fail to plan because they don't know how to plan. That's where it all comes unstuck. They go, I'm going to get these lists. I'm going to get this list together and I'm going to do this. And no one does it because it's just overwhelming. So morning routine, very simple app. You can set it with timers. You can set each thing that you choose to do and how long you want to do it. And then, of course, being, if it was an Android, it would do the same. It's not an iPhone thing. But it sends you notifications. So it actually tells you it's time to do that. So you wake up in the morning, turn on your phone, and you've got the notification telling you to go through your routine and then check it off. So very simple, very clean. It actually was a paid app. It wasn't a free app. It was a couple of bucks. It wasn't expensive. I've been using it for the last week now, and I've been sticking to it. So it's been quite good.
Now, did you find you need to delete an app or apps to replace the activity this is doing for you?
I deleted my note because I used to go into my note, then search for it. Because the problem with notes is that you have to then search for where it is.
Right.
And then I also took off another app that I was using for exercise, I don't need that. I can drag the exercise into here. So I use, I use G-Fit for my workouts. But if I don't work out in a gym, I used Swirkit for home use.
Yeah.
So I've taken that out because I can actually add 7 minutes and that's straight into the app. So it becomes part of the routine.
Right.
So it's very cool. So yeah, it is iOS only. I don't know if there's plans for Android, but I'm sure Android has the equivalent.
Yeah. I looked. There's
there must
good
be
6,
Yeah, it
7,
must
8.
be.
I think the challenge is that
Finding the right one.
Not only that, today, you look on your home screen, how many pages of apps do you have? And you and I are a bit unique. However,
We're
everyone
special.
out there, there are apps that do great things for different people. And depending who you ask, task management, go to Trello, use this, use that. And even from an alarm perspective, how you use your alarms and track your sleep, depending which wearable you have. Like, there's just so many apps, and I guess this looks like it's quite neat and clean. And like the guests that we're going to have later on today, technology has been changing things and how we actually engage with stuff. So Microsoft has had the Office domination forever. Now you've got Slack, you've got the likes of Trello, you've got all these other little ones coming up that offer a better experience, collaboration, different people doing things. Does this have collaboration? That's interesting.
No. I think you can share, and it's got the quote of the day as well, which I really like. You're just like a little inspirational, feel-good farty thing in the morning. It doesn't have collaboration. I don't think it's about collaboration. I think it's about you. Well, at least that's what I was looking for.
Right.
I wasn't looking to collaborate, and that I think is into the Trello and Slack space when you start to collaborate. This was more about me, how I start my morning, and I've got things in there like get Cade ready for school because that's what I have to do at that period of time.
Yep.
So it's like just that getting your brain into a routine so that when you walk out the door, you're actually already in a routine mode. It's like go be awesome. That's I think the last one of my day. Go be awesome. So yeah, morning routine, very simple, very clean. I think again we're at that time of year where we starting to clean up the year, file all the admin, and start thinking about what we're doing next year. So if you're going to get into a good habit, none of this New Year's Eve crap where, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop drinking. It doesn't work. Choose a realistic thing to do. I'm going to be more organized. Well, if you're going to be more organized, here's something that will help you be more organized. And Aryeh, if you find any that will do the same kind of thing on Android, I'm quite happy to tag those up as on the show notes.
Sure.
So we don't leave out our Android friends. So that's it. Morning routine, something that Aryeh is going to find, and we'll put that up.
Yeah.
Sweet. We haven't done screens with a Z for a while.
It's about time.
It's quite weird. We call the segment Screens with a Z. Maybe we need to review it next year just to like tech with a Z or something because this doesn't have a screen. How
about things with a Z?
Things. Oh, I like that. I like that. Things. Done. There we go. So for our loyal listeners that listen regularly, they know that we do like Jabra. In fact, I'm staring at Aryeh now. He has his 75s around his neck, as he always does.
Always.
I was very lucky to get my grubby palms on a pair of 65T Actives, which are the in-ear pods without wires. Basically an AirPod killer. And I am going to say that they're AirPod killers because even I think it was Gizmondo wrote the article where the guy actually said they're better than the AirPods.
Yeah, Gizmondo said they in almost every side except for the pairing.
I haven't had a problem with the pairing. Oh, I think it's automatic
the
from the
auto
iPhone.
Yeah. Open the pack and then it's paired.
Okay, so mine does that. So I'm not sure if it's an iOS 12 thing that changed it because iOS 12 is fairly new. I don't know when he wrote it. But I literally popped the lid and I put it in my ear and it says connected.
So that you don't have to turn them on.
Don't have to do a thing.
Okay.
Maybe it was actually an update of the buds themselves. I don't know, but I have an auto pair. Why I said we could actually say it Screens with a Z, and I'm going to start there. It has the most amazing accompany app. The app that comes with it that you download. Now, I don't think AirPods have an app. I think AirPods are just AirPods and they connect to an iPhone and they do what they do. And I'm not knocking the AirPods. They are comfortable, they work, but I must say that the way these fit in your ear. So I think the main difference is that the Jabras have little rubber, what do you call those things? Can I call them teats? Help us, guys.
I wouldn't call them teats.
Cam, you're a sound dude. What do you call the rubbery things that you stick on earphones that go into ears?
I call it a stabilizer or something, but
I actually like that.
These
Yeah,
things.
what do you call that?
I don't know. That just locks it into your ear.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
the things that lock it into your ears things. I don't know. He's going to Google it now because there's got to be a name for it. But the little rubber pieces that go inside your ears. So first of all, and Jabra has always done this with all the headsets I've had, they give you 3 different sizes. And most people probably don't know this, but your feet are not the only thing that are not the same size. Your ears are not the same size either. So you could have a small on the one side and a medium on the other or whatever. So you can change those little soon-to-be-named ear rubbery things. So you can get the comfort, and they stay in. The ones that I've got, which are the actives, are sweat-proof. I use them at gym. They're awesome. 5-hour battery with the case, 15 hours. So the case charges them up. So more than a full day. In fact, I go nearly a week because I don't have them in all day long. I am going to say that the noise of the microphones is nowhere near as good as the 75s that you've got.
Yeah,
So
the microphone is quite...
It's very noisy. When I've
yeah,
spoken to
yeah.
you, you've said to me you can hear everything going on in the background.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to get a headset for business purposes, then these aren't them. Not the actives anyway. I think there's a different one. I think the normal elites are more business-centric.
Yeah.
These are more for listening to music, going to gym. You can make phone calls. I mean, I do make phone calls with them. But even I've heard the noise. The one thing that I love on the app is the hear through button. So I can choose whether I can hear surround sound or lock it out, like noise cancelling. And the other thing is I can turn off my own voice. So I don't know if you've noticed, like with a headset, when you hear yourself, I actually have to take one out of my ear. So
you can hear how loud you are.
Yeah, because I can't hear. So you can actually turn off your voice. You won't hear your voice through there, which is great. Not that I've ever liked to turn off my own voice. Packaging's good, shape's good. Have you found the magic word?
The best I can find is silicone ear tips.
There we go. No, that's fine. Silicone ear tip set.
That's about the best.
So you can change the silicone ear tips.
Yeah.
Now that is a problem with the AirPods and all the other clones that have come out like the AirPods, is it's a solid plastic piece. And that's it. It fits in your ear or it doesn't fit in your ear. It's just, and if it fits in and it's uncomfortable, then it's unlucky. You don't really know that before you've bought them. I actually was quite curious to see if Apple's normal wired earpods were the same size as the AirPods, the pot that goes in your ear.
Yeah.
They're not.
The
AirPods were bigger. So, yeah, if you feel the normal wired ones and you're happy with those, doesn't mean you will be happy with the AirPods. So the Jabra 65T Actives in its own charging box with an awesome app, and it's Christmas time soon, so run down to, I don't know, JB Hi-Fi, or I suppose JB Hi-Fi, I don't know where else to buy earphones.
JB Hi-Fi. They've had some good deals online.
Okay.
Yeah, like $60 off. I don't know if it's because of the crazy Cyber Monday stuff or whatever, but
I'm over the cyber, and now they're going the 12 days of Christmas sales as well.
Yep.
So it's like,
you know,
why don't retailers just put their best price out there all year round? Huh? Just say, we bought this for $100, we're making 25%, you're paying $125, and that's it. Boom. You know, and then keep your sales consistent. Anyway, it's not the keep your sales consistent show. So that's a wrap on Screens with a Z.
This section is called XR.
X-rated.
X-rated. Extended reality.
I always get it wrong. Extended reality. Where are we going first? AR or VR?
I think I'll do a little augmented reality.
Okay. A little sneaky.
It's a little bit. Royal Navy captains could control their ships remotely using augmented reality headsets.
Bang.
Yeah. So that's
brilliant.
kind of
No loss of life.
No loss of life. Well, it depends who's controlling
Oh,
ships,
wait, hold on
right?
a second.
Yeah,
you said
there's
the captain. So the captain's sitting in the old boys club with strippers and whiskey.
Yeah, they're going to be off in the back. But
and the seaman guy to war. Okay.
Yeah. But
That is still interesting, huh?
Uh,
Are they doing it?
testing now should be ready by end of next year.
Sure. That's actually very cool. I was watching a show last night. It's called The World's Busiest Airports or something like that. And they were featuring the airport at Dubai. And a drone shut down the flights because it came into the flight zone. It cost the airlines like something like $500,000
That's it.
because of this.
That's it.
And it happened twice. And then eventually they send out like a helicopter, like a police helicopter, and they take down the drone. I think they actually take over its controls and bring it down. So I don't know if they get the owner, but what you're talking about now with like using AR or even VR, why don't they just send a drone out that's unmanned and take it out? You could have these drones all over the perimeter of the airport ready to go, as opposed to like stopping planes and that. So those are the kind of uses, like when you have to actually go into a situation where you just don't even need to send people anymore. But that's cool. I really like that. So I'm going to stay with the US Army then, seeing you went there. They've granted Microsoft $480 million contract to supply 100,000 prototype AR headsets based on the HoloLens device. So it's kind of obviously going into the same vein of what you're saying then. So you'd be able to have... So what would happen is you replace the captain, you'd replace the gunner. The gunner doesn't need to be on deck anymore. He or she could be, well, anyway, in control. I suppose you could also then send in like little robot dudes so that the sniper could see what's around the corner before he or she positions. So it's amazing actually where this is. But I mean, for $500 million grant, that's not chump change.
Yeah.
Right? Well, it is a chump that obviously organized it, but that's Trump, sorry. But yeah, that's big money.
Yeah, and this
into war.
And it argues for, we mentioned last week about our friend Dave Francis, who had a rant on 2 weeks ago, last week. Yeah, so just the only thing is that you and I both are huge proponents of AR, VR, XR, whatever it might be. There's no reason why it shouldn't be used today for the right reasons. Technology works. So these examples are absolute reasons where, I mean, I personally don't want to go to war, but, I suppose it does save lives of some people.
Like just two robots coming out and like having a bash.
Unfortunately.
The whole army's controlling it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Niantic because I love Niantic and they've now moved into hardware.
Oh, okay.
So for those of you that don't know who Niantic is, you definitely never listened before. They made Pokemon Go and Ingress, which we talked about I think last week or the week before as well, the Ingress Prime. They, I think, have acquired a company, or they did a strategic investment with a smart glasses company called DigiLens. I don't think they acquired them. I think it's a joint venture. Now, the question is, why would they go into hardware, or why would they do these type of things with these AR glasses? They've got millions of users, like millions of people are playing those games. And I think there's a Harry Potter game coming out now as well. It has come out.
Harry Potter? Harry Potter's been out, I think.
The AR version?
Yeah. Ghostbusters out, Harry Potter.
No, this is a new one, the Wizards Unite one.
When they bring all the wizards.
Yeah. So they've got that coming out. So it makes sense, right? Get the glasses, own the market, because if you buy the glasses for that, then you can use them for other things as well.
Yep.
I just keep going back to Apple, and they haven't come out with their glasses. They really lost an opportunity to actually be first for a change.
Oh, I assure you, when they come out, they'll be the first yet again.
It'll be their first,
It'll be their first, yeah.
10 years later. You got anything else in AR?
No, I've got a happy... actually, I'll do an XR before VR. But apparently Acer India has launched yet another new Windows mixed reality headset. This is the OJO 500. And I don't really know what sets it off different, except for it has a one-of-a-kind detachable design to offer flexible, comfy, and hygiene for consumers and businesses. Now, the one-of-a-kind... So I was thinking about this, right? Now,
yeah, it is actually gross putting other people's headsets on.
And when you play a heavy game of...
Beat Saber, any of those, and you sweat.
I definitely want to have that quick release.
Yeah, okay, I understand it now.
But I was looking for pictures of it, and I couldn't find anything that showed it. So I assumed that it's that quick release of the face mask kind of thing. But Don't
So
know.
would you still have to have your own mask then? And they just attach like the lens part?
Yeah, I think more of a business and retail kind of thing where they could actually switch them out and clean them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one more in AR, which kind of pulls onto that because it's actually a discussion, more discussion for you and me as opposed to what it is. A China-based company, AR company called Goertek, Goertek, and they make wave optics. Have announced a partnership to mass produce. Now, here's the part that I want to discuss with you: lower cost AR optics, and they reckon that they'll be market ready next year at $600. Where's that affordable? Like, where's that a lower cost when we've been talking about like the Go at $399?
If they're talking AR optics, it's cheaper than a $5,000 headset of a HoloLens.
Yeah, but $600 is not like not everyone has $600 lying around to go and buy AR glasses, and I'm hoping, and I mentioned the story not because I'm knocking it, but maybe the Niantic guys with their joint venture will take that into consideration. Is that if you want to get it to the masses, you got to get to the masses affordably. $600 is a lot of money still. I mean, you would probably spend $600 on it because it's, you know, you love AR and VR, or we would do it. But if Cade came to me and said, "Dad, I want $600 for an AR headset," I'm not going to give it to him. It's not an option. Or is this the case of, like we've always discussed with the TVs? It'll come out at $600 and a year later it'll be $299. You know, so you got to kind of get it out first. But again, they reference lower. That's, to me, still a lot. Lower to me is like sub 300.
Well, I think it's to B to B to C. You know, if they're going to be enabling, you know, a company like Walmart to go and buy $1 million worth of, $1 million in-store employees headsets, then you're talking about you got to have a lower cost. You got to have a high enough like enterprise quality product. And
Yeah.
If you go toss out cardboard to everybody, it's going to be one use and it's gone.
Cardboard.
Right?
We haven't mentioned that for ages.
No. So I think there's probably a reason behind it, whatever their target is, and if it's coming out of China, right?
Yeah.
So manufacturing heaven, and it may not go to the U.S., but every other country that's going to be buying the heck out of Chinese stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
we'll see. And it's also kind of like, what was it? There was one VR headset that was not going into commercial production, but it was designed to guide VR headset producers on what to build. So it might be one of those kinds of things.
I think it's still a starting point. Because at the moment we only have the HoloLens and Meta's not even an option. And that's just not even affordable.
Oh, Magic Leap.
Oh yeah, of course, Magic Leap as well. It's also not affordable.
No, definitely not.
You see how my brain's programmed? Huh?
Yeah.
It's like, we only have. It's like, hello.
Yeah.
Yes, they're right. I'm done on AR. I've got VR stuff. I don't know if you've got some of the VR stuff.
A little bit. Kind of a bit of a happy story. I think this is in Wales. They're using VR to connect young people and older people, specifically people in aged care homes, so that they can actually experience parts of the country or parts of the world that people haven't experienced. Not new. This isn't new.
So who experiences, like the older people experience it through the younger people's eyes?
Yeah. And they're using
Virtual tourism.
Yeah, kids to bring them across. And it's just, I'm pretty sure they're just using, whatchamacallit, cardboard, actually. But they're using some of the basic earlier free roller coaster stuff, showing people stuff on YouTube, you know, the 360 videos.
Yeah.
But it's just that experience of sharing and building a platform around it.
Okay, cool. Well, I've got a feel good too. Rome Reborn. Don't know if you came across this. So it's a new multi-platform app that takes viewers back to 320 AD. And you go into ancient Rome and you do like specific tours and flyovers and that. And they reckon that it was a 50-person team and 22 years of work. They created 7,000 buildings and monuments. So, I mean, if you're going to get realism, you can't get realism. It doesn't exist anymore. But it's a paid app. It's going to go from $3.99 all the way up to $9.99. I think depends which platform. You probably find the cheapest on mobile, and the more expensive will be on Stream or what does HTC call their marketplace? Well, their marketplace. I don't know what it's called. I don't have an HTC, but they have their own marketplace. But, if you ever want to experience something, if they've put that much detail into rebuilding these models, it's got to be amazing.
Yep.
So Uncle Rick, Uncle Lawrence, please get this so we can come and see it on your cool rig. Rome Reborn.
Rome Reborn. University of Carolina in Greensboro is using VR to train up or to test incoming high school students to get them geared up for the future of what they're going to be experiencing at the University of North Carolina. So the Gear Up program is an acronym that stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. It's a federally funded program. It's, again, just using cardboard.
I think that's cool, though. I mean, I'm going through that now with Cade.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into high school next year. He goes from being the big fish in the pond to the little guppy,
Yep.
In a big school. I mean, it's not only that he's going all the way down to the bottom, but he's in a big, big school. And we took him for uniform fitting, and you could see just walking around, like, there's big kids there, So I think that's quite nice, is that you could actually go on a trail, because they have what they call the buddy up system.
Okay.
So the matrics give up their last day of holidays to come and orientate the first years.
That's
and they
nice.
take them through the school. It's awesome. And they buddy them up and they take them through so they can actually see while the school's still empty. But this would be amazing. You could sit at home where you're in a comfortable environment and go on a tour and learn. I do like that. My one's not as nice as that, but it's definitely a move in the right direction. Mozilla's new VR web browser. That was exciting. So they did their big update, and I can't remember what it's called. It's called Reality, I think. I think it's just called Firefox Reality. But basically, it's what we've been saying, right? Is that you don't need apps, blah, blah, blah. Well, there it is. They now have a full VR web browser. So you'd immerse and then go through the web. And then people like Rupert and them at Pladdock could now plug straight into that. And then, boom, you're in content. I think for brands, that would be quite exciting. So they could build straight out. Have you got anything else? I think I got one more on VR.
Only on the back of that one is that, speaking of Rupert and Platter, they've announced that they'll be launching AR using Chrome. So AR kits going to be available on Chrome now. So Chrome browser, every phone, including my phone, can actually activate.
Can you get
AR.
a QR code on your Chrome browser on your phone yet?
With this, they should have it.
Okay.
Because it's got to be trigger-based.
I actually noticed the other day, and it's only iOS 12. It definitely wasn't before. But I could scan a QR code with just the camera, which I think you've been able to do for ages. My joke was always about Chrome being a Google product. But now I noticed the other day my camera was on and there was a QR code somewhere. And it actually popped up. It says, would you like to open this link? I was like, what? Didn't know I could do it. I have one last one, which is also back into the nice feel-goody, is Pixvana. I think it's a startup. Is partnering with a VR health company called Limbix. I think we've mentioned Limbix before, to provide VR therapy options. So they basically are looking at adolescent depression and anxiety. And then they've basically been researching through, it was one of the universities, I think it was University of Texas or it was Austin or one of them. I don't have the full notes here. But basically helping kids by immersing them into their own environment and then identifying what their problems are using VR. So I think it's cool. And, the problem the kids face today is just that their world is just so fast. And there's so much to take in that they actually don't get a chance to push pause. So now they can actually go in and find what they need. Again, assuming that every home has a VR set.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Maybe we'll see that at schools, actually. That's all I have. I don't know if you've got anything else on XR?
Nope.
Nope. That's a wrap. Boom. So we're at that part of the show now where we get towards the end and we have a guest of the week. We need to warn the children and those that are sensitive because we have James here from William Grant and Sons. Because you're not here about that specifically, Dave, but introduce yourself. We always get the guests to introduce themselves.
Yes, of course. Hey guys, how are we doing?
Very good.
My name is James Macrae. I am the UK and Australian Ailsa Bay Brand Ambassador.
There's the voice warning, guys.
Yeah.
I promise you that's his normal voice. We have checked. So, James, you arrived last night, this morning.
I did indeed. Last night. So.
You arrived in Perth, though.
From Perth and arrived in Sydney last
Okay,
night. So
cool. Well,
fantastic.
welcome to Sydney.
Thank you very much.
Much better than Perth. Much better to have you.
It's colder, weirdly.
So the reason we got you on the show, because you've told everyone you're a brand ambassador for whiskey. Now, that should be a good enough reason just to stop the conversation there. And I've mentioned it a few times on the show. I love whiskey. I'm very proud to say I have Scottish descent as well. But not that entitles me to Scotch. I mean, we were chatting outside about the fact that not all Scots people actually drink whiskey. But there's something very special about this whiskey, and it's a world first.
It is indeed. It is definitely one of the coolest whiskies out there
Okay.
on the market now. And especially as it's, the first time that Australia has had Ailsa Bay. So brand new whiskey, brand new distillery, in fact. We only first started launching Ailsa Bay back in 2016. And like I said...
Why did it take you so long to get here?
Well, it takes a wee while, sometimes it gets lost. But yeah, it took a wee while to come over to Australia. But yes, like I say, it's fantastic. It's finally here.
So we're on a technology show.
Yes.
Okay. So at any moment in time that people are going, all right, so they finally lost the plot. Because where's the technology when we talk about whiskey? There's nothing new about whiskey. It's been around for hundreds of years, thankfully. But when Izzy reached out to me about the whiskey, it was purely because of technology. There was actually, I think, a press release with an opening line about what it is. So
Yes.
to take us through why we're talking about whiskey on a technology show.
Of course. So, William Grant and Sons, we've been distilling whiskey for 130 years. I wish we're very proud of that. And of course, we've got a lot of experience in making delicious single malt, especially. When it came to Ailsa Bay, we had a fantastic site down the lowlands, South Ayrshire of Scotland, lowlands of Scotland. And we started looking at our whiskies. Now, one of the main things that struck us was that, there's so many fantastic elements of technology that we have now that can help us make even more delicious single malt than we've pre-existingly made. As well, we had been mostly focusing on unpeated whiskies, although we had some experience with making smoky peated whiskey styles in the past. So Ailsa Bay was almost, like the perfect opportunity to explore those opportunities. Now, the distillery itself was built in 2007 and remains one of the most technologically advanced distilleries across Scotland, at least to the best of my knowledge. The entire process, we have the ability to stop, start, analyze and reanalyze the liquid throughout its stage, which formerly hadn't really been something that we could really do. With making whiskey, it was almost like, when you start, you've got some control, historically. But with Ailsa Bay, we've been able to at least focus that control and ensure that we have one of the most complex and delicious single malts, at least available today. So, when it comes to the whiskey itself, there are so many advances in technology that we use, all the way from the start of the process, from milling, down to mashing, then to actually distilling the whiskey itself. We have everything is automated. We can literally run the distillery, which is huge. We've got 16 stills in total. Can produce up to 12 million litres of whiskey, of spirits.
Please lock me up.
I know.
If you're ever going to get locked up in a place, my luck, I'm going to get locked up in a lift. Like the lift will stop working. I can think of worse places of being locked up. So,
That's true.
besides the actual process of
Yes.
getting it into it, I think when I received the press release, I had to think of the word there. Sorry, you've used AI to determine the sweetness.
We have.
Now that was what intrigued me straight away.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
I've always understood
Yes.
sweetness to come from the barrel. So the wood itself, if it's a bourbon or a sherry, etc. How would artificial intelligence start to affect the sweetness level
Of
a
course.
liquid?
Well, Ailsa Bay is the first single malt to have this sweetness scale. Historically, of course, we've always had a smoky scale, the phenol parts per million scale, which of course we have with Ailsa Bay. But with the sweetness scale, Brian, who is our malt master, he is a chemist by trade. And when historically he was analysing a whiskey, especially when it comes to a delicious peated whiskey like Ailsa Bay, it's not only like that the smoke isn't the only flavor you're tasting, and that's across the board with single malts out there. So what he wanted to ensure that there was something else for whiskey lovers to identify with a whiskey, and with sweet smoke, this is yeah, as I say, is there on the label. So our sweet parts per million scale is it's a measure of the sweetness from the compounds of the oak, as you were saying. There is so much natural sweetness that is imbued into the spirit when it's maturing in cask. With Ailsa Bay, we use only American white oak, Quercus alba, but we use different styles and shapes of cask. And as a result, coming to the end liquid, we wanted to suggest basically that it's not just that smoke you should be focusing on. So with the sweet parts, Brian analyzes the different compounds that are extracted from the oak and has created this scale. So with Ailsa Bay, we formerly have had 2 releases, and each release has been at a different sweet parts per million scale. So it'll be fascinating to see in years to come.
So that explains the 1.2. This is release number.
Yes,
okay.
It is indeed.
So here's a question. If you take any of the traditional whiskies, because there's nothing traditional about this.
No, definitely.
Okay. So if you take, people will buy X. Let's take Grants. I mean, you get the Major's Reserve and you get the 10-year-old. I know that if I buy the 10-year-old, I know exactly what I'm going to taste. If you're messing around using science, does that mean that each release, so will every 1.2 taste the same?
It will indeed, yes. That entire batch will taste the same. It will, of course, be different to our first release from the UK, the 1.1. However, different ratings and stuff. And what we wanted to do is give more information to the whiskey drinker so that they could then compare themselves the smoke rating to the sweetness rating, because we wanted to create that perfect balance between smokiness and sweetness.
So you mean we can be more pretentious when we're sitting at a game and going, well, actually it's a 19 ppm as opposed to a 100 ppm or whatever.
Exactly. We wanted, I think, to demonstrate, because there's so much development within whiskey, and as well within whiskey drinkers, they want to experience more things, and giving more information about the liquid itself we thought was key. So yes, they can now see, obviously.
It's true though. I mean, I've spent many a night where we sit and just waffle about
exactly.
the colour,
and that
the
is
taste.
one of the best things with whiskey. It really, it's a great storytelling liquid. And when it comes to Ailsa Bay, it's a brand new distillery. It's so ahead of the curve, but yet we are starting down a different track. And especially historically, people will see, well, it's a lowland whiskey. It should be this, that, and the other. And we're really breaking the mold and showing that no, we don't have to conform to usual flavor profiles.
Do you think there's a change in the way different people are consuming whiskey, and sort of a change in the younger people and their appreciation for taste and stuff?
Yes, we've noticed this, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. People wanting to get down to the nitty-gritty details, how long the fermentation period is, how long it's spent in one particular style of oak cask. And it's fascinating, because we can now talk to people about that, whereas maybe 10 years ago, whiskey drinkers weren't necessarily interested in that aspect of it.
It's true. So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm always honest. I'm actually quite brutally honest. It's a South African trait.
Best way to be.
Don't generally go to the smoke profiles and the peat. I'll never drink anything that comes from the Isla region. It's just too heavy for me. In fact, we were talking off air about the fact that I enjoy the triple distillation, so the smoothness of it.
Whiskey.
So when I tasted, I did all 3. I did the neat in a little Glengrown glass.
Glen
glass, that's it. And it was quite smoky. I mean, it says sweet smoke, which is a bit of an oxymoron in its own. Okay,
yes,
we can chat about that. Then I dropped some water in it and I released the dragon.
Oh yes.
And it changed big time.
Definitely.
But I must say that when I shocked it with ice, it was incredible.
Yes.
So it removed all the smoke. It didn't have that smokiness to it.
Yes, it really closed down.
It did close it down. Now, what was important for me about that is that if you don't like a smoke profile, and I mean, I'm not judging anyone, I fall into that category. The fact that you can actually have the whiskey across all 3 platforms, so you can remove the smoke and the peat if you want, was interesting.
Definitely.
I did actually go and I actually added whiskey sours to it as well. So I turned it into an old fashioned.
Good.
And that brought out a peach, like a peachy
Yes,
pear
there are some
kind of
lovely
fruit
kind
note,
of,
which
like,
I didn't
white flesh
expect.
stone fruits. It's fantastic because there is that lovely smoke, that bonfire, that kind of smoked maple glazed bacon smell.
I wish people could see his face now, guys. You should see it. Looks like he's about to devour a buffet breakfast. He's got this bacon egg thing going. I share that passion. So I
love this whiskey so much. So I do often get too excited. But yeah, it's fascinating because the smoke is imbued by obviously peat, but it's peat from the Highland region, which gives a total different aroma. The composition of the peat is less of that, if we're judging by Islay standards, less of that seaweed, seagrass element. This is more heather, bracken, pine, and that really demonstrates that kind of bonfire aroma, that lovely like toasted oak aroma that we get on the nose with Ailsa Bay. But as soon as you take a sip of that Ailsa Bay, it's amazing how much that sweetness from that American oak then completely changes that, not just the aroma, but everything to do with the whiskey. You get this delicious sort of cereal toffee note that it just goes down so smoothly.
So the question I have to ask though is, what made them look for a peated or smoked whiskey? Because you're a Highlands or Speyside base. You're Speyside.
Traditionally, their family has been Speyside.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have had a lowland site since 1963.
Okay, you did mention you had the lowland site.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, it was an old munitions site actually from the Second World War.
So if you're not shooting people, you're making whiskey.
No, it'd been abandoned for a while. And I think at least Peter Gordon, who's the great-great-grandson of William Grant, one of our former chairmen, was very keen on exploring the possibilities of smoky whiskey. He'd been, waxing lyrical with one of our other malt masters, David Stewart, MBE, who had been looking after the Balvenie and still remembered whiskey from the war period where we stopped.
It's a great whiskey, by the way.
It's delicious whiskey.
That really is a good whiskey.
It is. Very, very luckily, David remembered smoky styles that the Balvenie had been making then, because obviously gas, etc., had been used for the war effort. And we did look at our whiskies, and we thought, we've got such amazing profiles. What would it be like if we introduced peat to it? And we'd done a lot of analysis of peat, sourced from around, not just Scotland, but from around the world. We settled on using this Highland style that was so fantastic. It kind of stemmed from that. We'd, of course, done experiments at both Balvenie and Glenfiddich across the years. So Ailsa Bay was the next step. It was really to kind of seize that and make that own unique style that wasn't really a copy of anything that we'd done in Speyside, but it almost grew rings. And as we can see here, it's just grown and grown and grown. So, yeah.
I took a picture of the bottle and I put my flash on and it really illuminated. I'm going to use that in the release so people can see it. But I have to say, as I said, for me, I've never ever gone towards a smoke or peated whiskey. I had my brother-in-law come round as well. His spectrum, I think he just drinks anything. He's actually he actually wears good Aussie colours. If it has alcohol, it works. And Aryeh doesn't drink. Well, not anymore. He used to drink. But I'm actually going to convince him to at least do the little
jam, yes.
like on the gums or the tongue. But yeah, it's diverse. I think that's what's interesting.
Definitely.
So from the technology side, it's a great story. I know it's the first because I've never come across anything that's using tech. In fact, I'm sure some of the masters out there might even pervert a bit the fact that you're trying to bring technology into what's supposed to be tradition.
Well, we've got so much tradition already.
Yeah.
We've got all that craftsmanship, and having the advances in technology, it adds different. We can add different layers of complexity to a spirit that formerly we might not have been able to do, or at least consistently do. And like I say, with Ailsa Bay, it's fascinating to see just what we can do and the advances now moving forward with whiskey. What levels can we take it to? And that Ailsa Bay will demonstrate this throughout our different releases to come, hopefully. With whiskey drinkers, I think there's definitely something for everyone with Ailsa Bay. The reason we chose the Highland style of peat was because we didn't want to isolate any like first time peat drinkers. It can be
It can overwhelm.
Definitely a character building experience. It definitely was when I was coming across my first whiskies, or these smoky whiskies, and we wanted to step away from that medicinal style of smoke that so many people recognize, and that can sometimes instantly turn you off a whiskey.
Yeah.
With the more, shall we say, seasoned whiskey drinkers, it demonstrates that different style of smoke that they won't have come across before. And at least from the interactions thus far, it's been fascinating having that different plane, that almost like different pathway, and seeing that no, smoky whiskey isn't just that one small element from, small islands of the west coast of Scotland. It's there is so much to it, and it'll be fascinating to see that develop over time. What happens if we do start to look at peats from different places in the world, and what that imbues into our spirit.
Well, I have to ask one last question before we wrap up, and you're not going to be judged. What is your favorite whiskey in the world? Money's not an object, even if you can't get it anymore. What is your favorite?
That is a very hard question.
It's a hard one.
It is too many possibilities. I have such a special place in my heart for Ailsa Bay, so moving away from that almost feels like sacrilege.
Well, before Ailsa Bay, so that's only 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I loved some of the stuff they were producing at Gerben, some of our single grain whiskies. And like I say, we've been producing single grain whiskey in Ayrshire since '63. So some of those older single malt whiskies are just to die for. Literally like liquid creme brulee. It's fascinating, and stepping away from that single malt process as well, and seeing the differences between those two. Some of my all-time favorites, some of the old statement Grants, Balvenie. It's always got a special place in my heart. And that was on, I think, maybe my second day with William Grant and Sons. I was straight up to the Balvenie, and I think whiskey just evokes memories.
Double barrel.
Yes, one of my favorites.
I think you even tasted that. That was at that whiskey night we went to. It was a 17.
Well, what we definitely have to do is pop the cork.
Oh, there we go. Get your finger test ready. This should be clean.
Gentlemen, pour yourself a wee dram.
Well, while we're doing that, I'm going to wrap it up. James, thank you. Welcome to the country. I'm definitely going to see you again, I think, in a few hours' time. So I'll post up on the site. It is available in Australia now.
Yes, it is indeed.
It is. I'm getting a nod from everyone there. There we go. So, Ailsa Bay, a technology-driven and derived whiskey out of an old ammunitions factory. And, that's it. So, till next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.